What is up, Booktube? I'm Leon, the Paperback Maniac. Welcome. If this is your first time here, I am going to do the small Booktuber tag. I was tagged about a week ago to do this video by Time for Books, an awesome channel, which I encourage everyone to check out if you haven't already, that focuses on affordable book buying. And she does a lot of like Dollar Tree hauls, and kind of reminds us all that you don't need to spend a whole lot of money to build a library. She's also a horror aficionado, which I greatly appreciate, and a proponent of horror, which I don't think you see enough of on BookTube. But yeah, so let's get right into the tag. I wrote down the questions here. So the first question is, introduce yourself. So my name is Leon. I live in Southern California, Orange County to be exact. I'm a teacher. I teach middle school, 6th grade English and drama, which is a whole lot of fun. I grew up in the Midwest. I don't know how far I'm supposed to go here. I went to Ohio State and got my undergraduate degree in English. Spent a few years out in South Korea. I was teaching ESL, and eventually came out to California and got my master's degree at the University of California, Irvine. And yeah, and that brings us up to date. I'm a teacher, so yeah, I think that should suffice. How long have you been on BookTube? So my first video I made was made on December 29th, 2017. So I guess just a few days shy of 2 months. So the fact that I'm still making a video 2 months after my first video is an accomplishment, because when I made my first video, I didn't know, I really had no expectations and didn't really know what I was doing. And I didn't really kind of conceive of this channel as such until a little while later. What types of videos do you make? So I make, well, okay, so basically my channel, Paperback Mania, is dedicated to celebrating a very niche thing, which is paperback horror novels of the 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s. So my channel is dedicated to reviewing these books. First and foremost, I want to review them. I also do collection videos, showcasing some of my favorite publishers of the era, that old era. And I do hauls. I have like a segment called Mailbox Horrors, in which I show the things that I've been getting from online. So that's pretty much what I do. And okay, I thought that this tag had the question of why did you create this channel. That might be on a different video, but I'll tell you anyway. I mean, the reason I created this channel is because I had been waiting for years for someone to make a channel that talked about kind of vintage horror fiction. I'd been waiting. You would get these sporadic videos every now and then of people like showing their collection of old like zebra paperbacks and leisure paperbacks, and I ate that up. But I wanted a channel that kind of really focused on that, because that of late has been like my sort of all-consuming passion. It's what I like to buy. It's what I like to collect. It's what I like to read. And I was just waiting and waiting and waiting, and eventually I just said, well, screw it. If no one else is going to do this, then I'm going to do it. So I decided to kind of try to create the type of content that I myself would enjoy to watch. It's funny. So it's been a couple of months. I remember my very first video. I cringe to think about it, and I've thought of deleting it many times. I have not yet, and I probably won't. But yeah, my first video, I remember I had literally, it was such on a whim that I did this thing. So I finished this book, right? And I am literally like standing in front of my bookcase, about to put the book back on the shelf. I've got like the book poised over the shelf, and I don't know what it is, but something like came over me. I had this sudden, spontaneous compulsion to like record a video, which is just weird because I don't like use my phone a lot to do that kind of thing. But I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna record something and I'm gonna, talk about this book. And I guess in the back of my mind, I thought, yeah, maybe I'll throw this on YouTube. I had no YouTube channel. I mean, I've been a viewer of YouTube for, many years, like many people, but I never in my wildest dreams thought I would actually be a YouTuber, let alone a booktuber. Booktube, by the way, is fairly new to me. But I whipped out my phone, and it was clearly my first video because I was so ignorant that I didn't even record it properly. I was holding my phone up vertically so that you could see like the black bars on the left and the right side. And I like babbled for a few minutes and it was awful, but I still like put it up on my I didn't even have a channel at that point. I just like uploaded the video. And then partly because I was so embarrassed by the way that one turned out, and like especially the fact that I had like the black bars on the left and right sides, I like wanted to make another video right away, like almost to redress my mistake and to prove to people that I wasn't a total dumbass. So I made one like I think the next day, and I made sure that I held the camera or my cell phone horizontally, and that one was maybe a little bit better. It still sucks, but I put that one up right away, and then I just discovered that it was kind of fun. It's not like I don't get the opportunity in my everyday life to talk about horror fiction or specifically this type of like vintage horror fiction. So I thought, well, I'm sure that there's got to be other people out there who are into this. In fact, I knew that there were. I was on this. I'm part of this Facebook group called Books of Horror. I know that there's a community out there, and I thought, well, yeah, why don't I add to that? Maybe we can have some discourse, have a conversation about this, and share the love of these old paperbacks. So that was my long-winded answer to a question that isn't even on this tag. What do you love about Booktube? So as I mentioned before, I'm relatively new to Booktube, but I've been sort of, really enjoying it lately. And the thing that I really like about it is kind of just everyone says this, but sort of the community, the almost like close-knit kind of feeling that you get, even though it is the internet, and the positivity. I feel like, Booktubers are generally very, very positive and supportive. And the fact that we get these guys, bigger booktubers that every Sunday will do like a shout out, people who have shouted out to me, this new guy who doesn't really know what he's doing, people like Catalyst Reads, Paperback Junkie, Time for Books, Paul Reads, just super cool people, super cool individuals who have a passion for reading and show that passion and support for each other. It's just an awesome thing, I think. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. What types of books do you read? So if you've seen my channel, you could guess lately it's been, these kind of vintage horror paperbacks. But, I've read across the board. Like I said, I was an English major. I've read my whole life. Actually, that's not true. That's a straight up lie. When I was kind of a punk ass high schooler, I did a bunch of stuff I shouldn't have been doing. I didn't read much in high school, but I rediscovered reading about the age of 19 or 20. I dug out an old copy of Stephen King's Night Shift, the cool original paperback edition with the die cut cover. I don't know how I stumbled across that at my mom's house, and I just started reading some of those stories, and I just got really into it, and it kind of rekindled the love of reading, which had been sort of dormant for many years. And then I quickly moved on. Then I wasn't reading. I read King, and then I read some of these other guys. But then I started to get a little pretentious, and I started to read quote unquote literary fiction. I became one of those douchebags that refer to mainstream fiction as literary fiction, as if other genres can't be literary. And then and then I was an English major at Ohio State, and I had these grand ambitions. I was going to be the great American novelist, and I was going to only read highbrow literature, and did that for a few years, and that led to a little bit of a burnout, honestly. And for a while, I just got really bored and sick of reading, and there was a period where I didn't read anything for maybe like a year and a half or so, and it was a couple of books that saved me and brought me back to my senses. The first of which, it was a book by the literary writer Rick Moody. This guy, he wrote the novel. He's maybe most known for The Ice Storm that was adapted into an Ang Lee movie. He wrote a book called The Four Fingers of Death, which was like this kind of throwback literary, I guess, take on kind of pulpy 50s science fiction movies. In fact, The Four Fingers of Death, I think, is a real movie from the 50s that he kind of incorporated into his novel. And I was living in Korea, actually, and I had a blast reading it. I was just like, I hadn't read anything so fun in so long. And then I was like, wow. I was like, is this? And it was like, it was like a science fiction horror novel, essentially. And I was like, man, is science fiction and horror this good? And then that was compounded by the 1-2 punch of Ian Banks's novel, The Wasp Factory, which I guess could be arguably horror. And that book just blew me away. If you haven't read The Wasp Factory, do yourself a favor and get on that. What an amazing novel. I mean, I would put that up in my top 5 of all time, right next to Catherine Dunn's Geek Love. The Wasp Factory was amazing, and then that opened my eyes. And then I discovered Ian Banks's. I read like his other mainstream stuff, and then I saw that he had this whole kind of other career as a science fiction writer. And then I started reading his science fiction stuff, the Culture series, and I was blown away by that. And then I slowly then worked my way back to horror, and I started reading horror, and that is like what has stuck. It's what gives me the most satisfaction and joy, because I mean, all those years I kind of like was telling myself I was like this serious, like highbrow guy, but let's face it, it's not the case. I'm a lowbrow guy at heart. I like to be titillated by violence and gore and sex, and I have base interests, and life is too short to just read things that you think you should be reading. You should read things that you want to be reading and that give you satisfaction. So that's what I like to read. Wow, another long-winded answer. What is your favorite video that you have made? Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know. If I had to say, I've noticed that the collection videos like get the most views. Like I think people prefer those kinds of things, or like list type videos to like actual reviews. I myself, I want to focus my channel on the reviews, but I do enjoy making the collection videos. If I had to choose one collection video I've made so far, I'd probably say the Onyx one, not because I'm any good in it, but just because I like that I made a video that showcases Onyx horror paperbacks from the late 80s, because that's just an imprint that doesn't get talked about even by like fans of this kind of subgenre. It doesn't get talked about the way Leisure and Zebra paperbacks do. So I'm glad that I was able to make a video showing some of those. As far as my reviews, I don't know. I kind of like my. I did a review of a novel called The Crone, and I don't know if this is sad. It was my third review. Why is that one of my favorites? My third one. You would think that I would have gotten better since then, but I don't know why I like that review. I feel like I recorded that, I believe, on like New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, and I was very relaxed and very cash. It just seemed like a very casual kind of review. So I don't know. I kind of dug that one, but yeah, that's what I would say to that. And then finally, it says tag at least 4 small booktubers. So I wanted to, so as I said again, this is all new to me, BookTube. I've only been watching it, pretty recently. I wanted to to mention a few people who are very, very small, such as myself, under 100 subscribers. So the four that I've got. So the first one is the Reading Frenzy. The Reading Frenzy is a channel that, as of right now, has 65 subscribers. It's presented by this guy named Travis. Really cool guy. He does, hauls. He posts he did a really cool collection video recently of his horror books, and he mentioned that he was inspired by my channel to do that, which is awesome. In fact, that's like one of the big things that I would love to see. If people, I would like to see more people posting, their horror book collections, and hopefully starting to do horror reviews as well, because I feel like it's an underrepresented segment of BookTube. But definitely check out Travis at the Reading Frenzy, and great name, by the way. I love that channel name. The next one I will mention is Reader's Retreat. This is one that I just recently discovered. He's got currently 43 subscribers, and he does great book hauls, and he focuses a lot on comic books as well, which is interesting because I'm not too familiar with comic books. So I kind of learned a lot of new stuff by watching those videos. So check out the Reader's Retreat. Third one I'll talk about is Madame Decor. She has 15 subscribers as of now, and she does a lot of hauls. She does like bargain hauls, like Dollar Tree hauls, and so sort of similar to Time for Books, kind of showing that you can collect and build a collection and amass titles without having to spend bucket loads of money. So something that I myself could take note of. So yeah, definitely check out Madame Decor. And then finally, the last one I will talk about is TalesbyBob. This guy is fairly very, very new. He has 13 subscribers, and he does reviews. I think that I think I've watched like 2 of his videos. He has one that is like a horror bookshelf video, which immediately got my attention. If you are gonna make a video showing off your horror books, I am intrigued, and I am interested, and I am curious. And so that is a very fledgling channel, but it'll be excited to continue to watch that and see it grow and see where it goes from here. So I will try to post links to those channels below for you guys to check out. And thank you for watching this. If you have not already, consider checking out some of my older videos and subscribing to the channel. I try to post regularly and show that love for this thing that I love. I know it's a niche thing, and it's never going to be like an overwhelmingly popular channel, and that's fine. I really do this just for myself, because I get a kick out of it, and for people like myself who enjoy these kinds of things. So give it a shot, even if you don't think of yourself as a horror fan. You don't know. You might find a passion. I mean, if you would have asked me when I was 23, I would have probably thumbed my nose at my own channel right now. But things change, and it is fun, I assure you. So thanks again. Have a great day. Keep a lookout for horror reviews and collection updates and all that fun stuff that I do. I will see you guys later. Peace out.